You running drugs?
I'd rather die than tell you.
You're already a dead man.
You'll send your strangers packing. I will.
You were in a hole, and so was I.
They want us.
Rip Wheeler just found out the truth, and it's about to get someone killed. The Dutton Ranch finale trailer dropped, and it confirms Robert isn't just a cattle thief. He's running something far darker, and Beth already called it. He's a dead man walking. But that's not even the scariest part. Someone is coming for Bera's home in the dead of night, guns loaded, and by the end of this trailer, blood is going to hit the ground. So who survives? Let's break down every second of this trailer because Season 1 is about to end in chaos. The Dutton Ranch finale trailer opens just 2 days after the events of the last episode, and it wastes no time throwing us straight into danger. The scene starts with another shipment of cattle arriving, the same illegal operation that Rip and Beth have slowly uncovered coming out of Mexico. Rip and Beth are standing there, watching the cattle get counted, when Robert pulls up in his truck. This is the moment fans have been waiting for. Round 2 between Rip and Robert, and this time, Rip doesn't hold back. He looks Robert dead in the eye and says, "You're running drugs." Robert's response is chilling. He says, "I'd rather die than tell you." That single line changes everything. Up until now, most viewers assumed Robert's crimes were limited to stealing cattle and being a general problem for the Duttons, but this trailer confirms it. Robert is tangled up in something much bigger, something involving narcotics, and it sounds like he would rather die protecting that secret than expose the people above him. Beth doesn't miss a beat either. She looks at him and says, "You're already a dead man walking." That's not just a threat. That's Beth telling Robert his fate is already sealed, whether he talks or not. This is where the show takes a hard turn. What started as a story about a woman trying to save her family ranch from collapse is now revealing an entire criminal network hiding underneath it. Bera has been running a cattle operation out of Mexico, and now it's clear that drugs are part of it too. The question is, did Bera know the full extent of it, or is she just as trapped as everyone else? Because here's the thing, Bera has spent the whole season talking about how hard she's had to fight to keep this ranch alive. She's hinted at doing things she's not proud of. And now, with this drug connection coming to light, it's starting to feel like Bera isn't the one calling the shots. Someone above her is pulling the strings, and she's terrified of what happens if she doesn't listen. That fear becomes even clearer in the next part of the trailer, where we get our first real look at Mariano. He's the one giving orders to Bera, not the other way around. This lines up with what happened in the previous episode, when Hein made a call that seemed to set something dangerous into motion. It's looking more and more like Mariano could be the one actually running the operation in Mexico, using Bera as the face of it while he stays hidden in the background. And that would explain something huge. Remember when Bera acted like Mariano was dead? What if that wasn't a mistake? What if that was a lie she told to keep Rip and Beth from getting anywhere near him? Mariano isn't just a background character anymore. In the trailer, he says something that should send chills down every viewer's spine. He tells Bera, "You'll send your strangers packing, or I will." Strangers. That's Rip and Beth, the two people who came onto this ranch to help Bera and ended up uncovering a criminal empire she never wanted them to see. Mariano isn't asking Bera to get rid of them. He's demanding it. And if she doesn't, he's making it clear he'll handle it himself, which is about the most dangerous sentence anyone could say in this show. Here's what makes this even more personal. Mariano used to work closely with Bera's father, a man we already know Bera hated. So when Mariano starts giving her orders like she's still a child, answering to her father's authority, there's a good chance she listens, even if it destroys her. That old power dynamic isn't gone. It's still controlling her, and it might be the reason she can't just walk away from any of this, no matter how badly she wants to retire and leave the ranch behind. So now Rip and Beth aren't just dealing with a rival family trying to steal cattle. They're standing in the middle of a much bigger, much more dangerous war, one involving a hidden drug operation and a man willing to kill to protect it. And the scariest part? Mariano just made it clear that Rip and Beth need to disappear from this ranch, one way or another. So if Bera won't send them away herself, what exactly is Mariano willing to do to make sure they're gone for good? The trailer doesn't slow down after Mariano's warning. It cuts straight to Bera confronting Beth, and what she says next completely changes how we see her. Bera looks at Beth and says, "You were in a hole, and so was I." That line hits hard because it's not an excuse, it's an admission. Bera is finally acknowledging that she's been trapped in something she couldn't control, just like Beth was trapped in her own past struggles before coming to this ranch. But the real question is what this line is actually building toward. Is Bera trying to guilt Beth into backing off from digging deeper into the operation? Or is this the moment Bera finally comes clean about everything? The cattle theft, the drugs, and the fact that Mariano is the one really pulling the strings? Because up until now, Bera has always framed herself as someone doing whatever it takes to save the ranch. But this trailer makes it clear that saving the ranch might have cost her far more than she ever admitted. She didn't just make one bad decision. She built her entire operation on top of a criminal network that she may no longer be able to escape, even if she wanted to. And that changes everything about how we see her character heading into this finale. Right after this confrontation, the trailer jumps into something even more terrifying. Rip says, "They want us dead," and Beth responds, "Then they're going to get us." That exchange alone tells us this isn't going to end with a conversation. This is going to end with violence. The trailer then shows a group of armed men walking toward Bera's home, moving with purpose, like they know exactly who they're coming for. And in the middle of all this chaos, we hear Oriana scream, the kind of scream that makes you think she just found something horrifying. Is it possible Oriana stumbled onto her own father's body? Because if Robert really is caught up in a drug operation this dangerous, it's not far-fetched to think he could be one of the first casualties once things go bad. If Oriana is the one who finds him, that would completely reshape her arc heading into the season finale, turning her from a background character into someone forced to deal with real trauma and loss. And this also raises a bigger question about Robert himself. For most of the season, he's been positioned as the main threat, the guy causing problems for Rip and Beth at every turn. But this trailer suggests he might not be the true villain here. He could just be another person caught in Mariano's web, someone who thought he was in control, but was actually being used the entire time. If that's the case, Robert's death wouldn't just be shocking, it would be tragic, because it would mean he never stood a chance against the real danger operating above him. As the trailer continues, we see Beth, Rip, Azul, and Everett preparing themselves, loading weapons, getting ready for whatever is about to come through that door. This isn't a defensive stance anymore. This looks like they know exactly what's heading their way, and they're preparing to fight for their lives. Given what Mariano said earlier about sending Rip and Beth away, or doing it himself, it's looking more and more likely that this armed assault is his doing, his way of eliminating the two strangers who threaten to expose everything he's built. There's also a strong chance Mariano isn't just targeting Rip and Beth. If Robert is set to take over more responsibility on the ranch, Mariano may see him as another obstacle, someone he never trusted the same way he never trusted Robert's father. In Mariano's eyes, Robert might already be a liability, someone who talks too much or reacts emotionally instead of staying in line. And if that's true, Robert might not survive the events of this finale, not because Rip finally gets his revenge, but because Mariano decides he's too much of a risk to keep alive. Then the trailer shows Beth raising her weapon directly at Bera as she arrives at the ranch. That single image is enough to make anyone's stomach drop. After everything Beth has done to help save this ranch, is she now being forced to see Bera as an enemy? Or is this a moment where Beth is protecting herself from whatever Bera might be bringing with her? Whatever the reason, this is proof that trust between these two women has completely collapsed. So with armed men closing in, Bera possibly turning into a threat herself, and Mariano's warning hanging over everyone's heads, one thing is certain, someone in this finale is not walking away alive. But who is Mariano really targeting first? Rip and Beth? Or is Bera about to become a casualty of the very empire she helped build? As the trailer builds toward its final moments, we get a look at Everett standing on the porch of Bera's home, weapon raised, ready to face whatever is coming through those gates. He says, "Well, I ain't seen my last firefight." And that single line says more than it seems. Everett isn't a young man anymore, and yet here he is, standing his ground, fully aware that this could be one of the most dangerous nights of his life. That kind of quiet determination feels familiar if you've watched Taylor Sheridan's other work, especially Landman, where characters are constantly forced into violence they never asked for just to protect the people and the land they care about. If Dutton Ranch follows that same pattern, this fight isn't going to be quick or clean. It's going to be brutal, and not everyone standing on that porch is guaranteed to make it through the night. The trailer then cuts to its most intense moment yet. Beth, Rip, Azul, and Everett all firing their weapons at the intruders storming toward the house. This isn't a warning shot or a standoff anymore. This is a full-blown gunfight, and it confirms that the finale is building toward a deadly, chaotic showdown that could completely reshape the entire cast moving into Season 2. And this is where the theories get even more painful. Azul has spent this entire season preparing for fatherhood, building a crib, talking about the future with his unborn son, and every single one of those moments has felt like the show setting up something devastating. Shows like this rarely spend that much time building up a character's hope for the future, unless they're planning to take it away. If Azul dies in this shootout, it wouldn't just be a shocking twist, it would be a gut punch. Especially knowing he never even got the chance to meet his child. It's the kind of loss that would hang over the entire second season, shaping how Beth, Rip, and the rest of the ranch move forward without him. As for Carter, the trailer barely shows him, and that might actually be intentional. Keeping him away from the main gunfight makes sense, especially if the show is setting him up for a different kind of turning point. If Carter does get pulled into the danger, it's more likely tied to Oriana rather than the shootout at Bera's home. Remember, Oriana already questioned whether Carter was capable of being a real man back in episode 7. If he ends up stepping in to save her from whatever situation she finds herself in, especially if it's connected to her father, that could be the moment that finally changes him. Rip has said it himself, it's not about what happened to Carter in the past, it's about what he chooses to do to rebuild. If Carter is forced to make a life-or-death decision to protect Oriana, that choice could send him down a completely different path, one that either brings him closer to becoming like Rip or pushes him towards something far darker. But the danger in this finale isn't only coming from Mariano and his men. There's still the matter of Wes, the man who disappeared back in episode 1 after Rip disarmed Robert at that gas station. Rip was the one who handled the weapon that night, and Rip was the one who got rid of the body. If the sheriff starts digging deeper into the gun that Hayne handed over and connects it back to that night, Rip's fingerprints could end up placing him at the center of an investigation he never saw coming. That means even if Rip survives this shootout, even if he walks away from Mariano's men and Robert's drug operation, he might still be facing an enemy he can't shoot his way out of the law. And with Dutton Ranch already confirmed for a second season, this finale isn't just about surviving one dangerous night. It's about setting up consequences that could follow these characters for years to come. Whoever dies in this shootout, whoever survives, and whoever gets caught in the fallout with the sheriff, none of it disappears once the credits roll. So as this finale approaches, ask yourself this. If Rip survives the cartel, survives Mariano, and survives this shootout, will he even be able to survive the law finally catching up to what he did?